The galaxy had forgotten Earth. 800,000 years was enough to turn a living world into a myth, and its people into monsters told in bedtime stories. The Galactic Council had erased every trace of the Terran race, records deleted, star maps corrected, even the memory of Sol wiped from official archives. But some stories never die completely. On the outer rim, far from the Council's shining worlds, two young alien girls drifted through the void in a small exploration craft named Whisperlight. They were not soldiers or smugglers. They were students, curious, daring, and hopelessly reckless. Their names were Lyra and Vera. Lyra, the older one by a few cycles, had a restless spark in her eyes. Her scales shimmered silver blue beneath the cabin lights, and her crest fins twitched when she got excited, which was often. Vera was quieter, more careful, her amber skin marked with faint bioluminescent patterns that pulsed with emotion. Together they made an unlikely pair, one driven by curiosity, the other by loyalty. At that moment they were breaking a dozen galactic laws. "Lyra," Vera said, her voice sharp but trembling. "The nav beacons are gone. There's no data for this sector. If anyone catches us here, we're finished." Lyra grinned, teeth flashing. "That's the point. This system was erased. You know what that means?" Vera folded her arms. "That we'll die?" "No," Lyra said, tapping a holographic chart. A dim red sun flickered at the center. "It means it's hiding something. Something the Council didn't want anyone to find." The ship's engines purred as they approached the ancient star. It was dim and tired, surrounded by drifting debris and silent rocks, the remains of shattered worlds. The computer displayed broken orbital data, fragments of moons, clouds of dust. "This was Sol," Lyra whispered reverently. "The human home system," Vera frowned. "Humans are myths. Dangerous myths. They say one human ship destroyed an entire fleet. Stories get exaggerated," Lyra said, "but something real started them. Let's find out what." The ship glided past the remains of Mars, a red husk torn open by ancient bombardment. Then came the broken outline of Earth. It wasn't a planet anymore, just a burnt sphere. Its surface glassed, oceans gone, air stripped away. From orbit it looked like an obsidian tomb. For a moment neither girl spoke. Even Lyra's enthusiasm faded. This was a world. Vera whispered. "It was their world," Lyra said softly. 800,000 years ago. She activated the scanner. Energy readings flickered faintly from the southern pole. Weak, almost impossible to notice, except they were structured. Artificial. "Something's still running down there," Lyra said. "That's impossible," Vera said. "No reactor lasts that long." Lyra's eyes gleamed. "Exactly why we're going to see it." They descended through the thin remains of the planet's atmosphere. The landscape below was silent, lifeless, and haunting. Cracked continents stretched beneath the faint light of the dying sun. Mountains were melted glass. Rivers were trenches of ash. As Whisperlight neared the polar region, the signal grew stronger. Beneath the ice, what little remained frozen in the shadows was a massive structure. It stretched for kilometers, buried deep, radiating a steady pulse of energy. "Some kind of underground base," Lyra said. "Or a grave," Vera muttered. They landed the ship near a fissure and suited up. Their exosuits hissed and sealed, adapting to the faint radiation and lack of oxygen. The wind howled over the glass plains as they stepped outside. It felt like walking on the bones of a god. The entrance wasn't visible, but Lyra used a ground penetration scanner to map tunnels below. Soon a hollow chamber appeared beneath their feet, only a few meters down. A single narrow shaft connected it to the surface. "Here," she said, pointing. We cut through. The plasma drill burned through the ice, revealing a smooth metallic hatch underneath. Ancient, covered in dust and alien to them, yet still whole. Symbols were etched across its surface. "What language is that?" Vera asked. Lyra crouched, running her fingers over the faint markings. "It's Terran Standard," she said. "I've seen fragments in forbidden archives. It says Genesis Vault." "Genesis," Vera echoed. "Like creation?" Lyra nodded slowly. "I think we just found their last secret." With some effort, they forced the hatch open. A gust of cold, sterile air rushed out. The tunnel below descended into darkness. Their suit lights flickered as they climbed down the metallic ladder. After several meters, the shaft opened into a vast chamber. Rows upon rows of cylindrical pods stretched as far as they could see, each glowing faintly with blue light. The air was still. Dust floated in zero gravity. Vera's voice trembled. There must be thousands of them. Lyra stepped closer to one of the pods. Inside was a figure, humanoid, pale-skinned, peaceful in sleep. The sight froze her in place. "It's true," she whispered. "They're human." Vera shook her head, backing away. "No, this can't be real." "They were all destroyed." Lyra's eyes were wide with wonder. "Not all." She checked the control panel beside the pod. The symbols flickered, translating through her wrist device. Status: active. Cryostasis integrity, 98%. Power source, stable. "They're alive," she said in disbelief. "After all this time, how?" Vera asked, voice trembling. "Fusion reactor self-sustaining. Maybe they designed it to last forever." Lyra smiled faintly. "Humans. They really didn't want to die." They explored deeper. Every corridor was filled with pods. Some chambers contained machines, others data cores still humming faintly. The technology looked primitive yet impossibly durable. Vera touched a wall panel. It glowed under her fingers, then shifted to display an image. A planet of blue oceans and green continents. "It's Earth," Lyra said softly. Before the war, the hologram showed cities shining like stars, ships rising into orbit, smiling faces of humans. Then came fire, massive bombardments, explosions covering the surface. The final image froze on a single human symbol, a circular blue sphere with white lines across it, Earth's flag. The screen dimmed. Lyra stood silently. They knew they were doomed. So they built this place to wait. Wait for what? Vera asked quietly. Maybe for a time when it was safe to wake up. Suddenly, the lights flickered. A deep hum filled the air. "What did you do?" Vera shouted. "Nothing," Lyra said, stepping back. The floor panels lit up in sequence, forming a glowing path. At the far end of the chamber, a massive console activated, its holographic interface blinking alive. Then a voice, old, mechanical, but clear, echoed through the hall. "Cryostasis Facility 09B detected biological presence. Genetic signature, non-Terran. Initiating security override. Awakening protocol engaged." Lyra froze. Did it just say awakening protocol? Vera's biolights flickered in panic. "Shut it off." "I'm trying." Lyra dashed to the console, but the symbols shifted faster than she could translate. The voice continued, calm and unstoppable. "Reactor status, optimal. Atmosphere, stable. Cryo integrity, 97%. Revival sequence commencing." The pods around them began to hiss softly, vapor escaping through ancient seals. "Lyra, we have to go," Vera shouted. "Wait," Lyra said, staring at the nearest pod. "Look." The glass of one pod cleared. Inside, a human man's eyes fluttered open. His chest rose sharply, taking a breath for the first time in 800 millennia. The two alien girls froze. The man's eyes adjusted to the dim light. He looked strong but tired, with short dark hair and a faint scar over his left eyebrow. He blinked at them, confusion and awareness mixing behind those sharp human eyes. Then, in a rough voice, he spoke, words that their translators barely caught. "Who are you?" The alien stood speechless. The human's gaze shifted to his surroundings, to the glowing pods, to the screen showing data streams. Then he focused back on them and asked, "What year is it?" Lyra swallowed. "By Galactic standard, it's year 823-940. The man closed his eyes for a long moment. Then he whispered, almost to himself, "Then the contingency worked." He looked up again, calmer now, his voice firm. "Where is Earth?" Lyra hesitated. "It's gone." Silence filled the chamber. The human's jaw tightened. "I see." He stood slowly, stretching limbs that hadn't moved in ages. Despite his long sleep, his movements were sure, deliberate. Vera tugged on Lyra's arm. "We need to leave now." But Lyra couldn't move. She could feel something in the air, an energy, a presence. The human looked around at the endless rows of sleeping pods. Then he said, "If you're not with the council, then maybe there's hope left after all." He stepped out of the pod, his bare feet touching the cold metal floor, and the lights across the facility flared brighter as if recognizing their master. Vera whispered, "Lyra, what have we done?" Lyra couldn't answer. She could only stare at the man. A survivor from a dead world, awakened after 800,000 years, and as the sound of other pods beginning to hiss filled the air, Lyra realized the truth. They hadn't just found a relic. They had found the return of humanity. The air in the ancient chamber grew heavy. The sound of hissing pods echoed through the hall like the breathing of ghosts. Blue light shimmered off the glass of thousands of cryo units. Lyra and Vera stood frozen near the first awakened pod, hearts pounding. The human man before them, Commander Elias Kane, moved slowly but with strength. His body trembled from the long sleep, yet his eyes were sharp, scanning everything. Lyra tried to speak, but her voice shook. You've been asleep for 800,000 years. Elias frowned, rubbing the frost from his arms. 800,000? His voice was deep and rough, but steady. Then humanity fell. Lyra nodded carefully. The Galactic Council destroyed Earth. They said humans were too dangerous. They erased everything. For a moment, silence. The only sound was the hum of machines still running after so many ages. Then Elias gave a slow smile, not of joy, but of grim satisfaction. So they did it. But we endured. Vera whispered, "You should not even be alive. No one survives that long. Humans adapt," Elias said simply. That was our greatest strength. He moved toward the console, his bare feet silent on the metal floor. The old system responded instantly to his presence. Screens lit up, showing streams of ancient data. Lyra's translator flickered, struggling to keep up with the language. Project Genesis Vault, Elias murmured, reading the title. Population count, 2,712. He paused, staring at the numbers. Only this facility survived. Lyra looked around at the endless rows of pods. So many humans, asleep here for all this time. Elias turned to her, his eyes calm but hard. "Who are you?" Lyra hesitated, then placed her hand on her chest. "Lyra of Zelthan, I'm a xenohistorian. This is my friend Vera. We found this place by accident." Elias raised an eyebrow. "Zelthan? That name didn't exist when we fell. You're not with the council?" "No," Lyra said quickly. "They would never let us come here. This world is forbidden," he nodded slightly. "Then maybe that's why you're still breathing." Vera's biolights flickered nervously. "We should go, Lyra. The council's patrols could be anywhere near this system." But Lyra shook her head. "No, don't you understand what this means? Humanity isn't extinct. History lied." Elias turned back to the control panel and pressed a sequence of symbols. "Lied," he repeated. "Of course they did. They always feared what they couldn't control." The system beeped. One by one, the other pods around them began to activate. Lyra stepped back in awe as the fog of ancient cryogas filled the air. "Wait," she said. "You're waking them all?" "Not yet," Elias said. "The power levels are stable, but I need diagnostics. 800,000 years is a long time for a reactor to run." He looked around, his expression hardening. "If the council detects this place, they'll send a fleet. I need to make sure my people can survive when that happens." Lyra stared at him. There was something about his voice, a calm authority that demanded respect. Even though she was the one with the ship and technology of the present age, it felt like he was the one in control. As the systems hummed, Lyra examined the glowing symbols across the walls. "You humans built this all before your world was destroyed?" "Yes," Elias said. "We knew the council would come. They couldn't tolerate our independence. They called us a danger to galactic peace." He looked at the pod beside him, another human woman sleeping inside. "So we built Genesis, a vault deep under the ice. We hoped one day when the galaxy forgot its hatred, humanity would rise again." Vera whispered. "That day is now?" Elias looked at her. "That depends on what kind of galaxy we've woken into." They moved deeper into the facility. The walls glowed softly with lines of blue energy, still bright after all this time. Some corridors were sealed off by heavy bulkheads. In others, machines lay silent, covered in frost. Elias led them through, his memory guiding him even after ages of sleep. Most of this was automated. "We used self-repairing alloys. It looks like it worked." Lyra watched him carefully. "You talk about humans like they were gods." Elias smiled faintly. "No, just stubborn." He stopped at a large chamber where a reactor core pulsed gently with light. The air was warm here, filled with a soft hum. "Fusion reactor," Lyra said in awe. "It's still running." Elias nodded. "We built it to last 1,000,000 years if undisturbed. Humans always over-engineered things." He walked to a nearby panel and began checking the data. The translator rendered his words slowly, but Lyra caught enough to understand. "Power stable. AI core functioning. Environmental systems active." He exhaled deeply. "We can bring more online. Vera touched Lyra's arm. We shouldn't be here. If the council finds us with him, we'll be executed. Lyra looked back at the sleeping pods, at the faces behind the glass. But this is history. We can't leave it hidden again. Elias glanced at them. You're afraid. That's good. Fear keeps people alive, but courage changes the future. He walked toward a console that projected a hologram of the galaxy. The stars glittered, showing systems and empires Lyra barely recognized. Show me, Elias said. What has the galaxy become? Lyra connected her wrist device. The hologram updated with modern data. Trade routes, council capitals, fleets. Elias studied it silently. So they spread everywhere, he muttered. Still the same old council. Endless rules. Endless fear of change. Then he looked at Lyra. Tell me, do they still teach that humans destroyed themselves? Yes, she said quietly. They say you attacked the council first. They say you used weapons that burned worlds. Elias's face darkened. Lies. We refused to surrender our sovereignty. They called that aggression. He clenched his fists. They fired first. We only fought back. For a long moment, none of them spoke. The hum of the reactor filled the silence. Then Lyra asked softly, What will you do now? Elias looked around the vast sleeping chamber. Wake my people. Learn what's changed. And decide if the galaxy deserves to meet us again. Vera stepped forward, her voice small. If the council learns humans live, they'll come to destroy you again. Elias turned to her, his expression unreadable. Then we'll remind them why they feared us. His words sent a chill through the air. They returned to the main control room. Elias reactivated more systems. Lighting, atmosphere, communications. Ancient displays flickered with maps and logs from long before the fall of Earth. One screen showed a message labeled, For the Future. Play it, Lyra said. A hologram appeared. A woman in a white uniform. Her hair tied back, her voice calm but heavy with emotion. If you are seeing this, then Genesis has survived. The Council destroyed Earth, but not humanity. You are our continuation. Remember who we were, builders, dreamers, defenders. Never conquerors, never slaves. Rebuild, learn, endure. The image faded. Elias stood silently, eyes fixed on where the woman had stood. That was Admiral Aisha Monroe, he said softly. She started Genesis. She was my commander. Lyra could see something human flicker behind his calm exterior. Grief, pride, maybe both, Vera whispered. She believed humanity would return one day. She believed in survival, Elias said. And she was right. Suddenly, the alarm system blared. Red lights flashed across the hall. What's happening? Lyra shouted. Elias looked at the console. Orbital intrusion detected. Something's in the upper atmosphere. Vera's face turned pale. It's a council probe. They must have picked up our landing signal. Elias cursed softly. They'll scan the surface. If they find this facility, they'll call a fleet. Lyra panicked. We can hide you. Shut everything down again. Elias shook his head. No. The moment they saw the energy spike, they'll know something's alive down here. It's too late to hide. He tapped several commands. I can scramble their scans. Maybe buy us time. Buy time for what? Vera asked. For us to wake enough people to defend ourselves. Lyra watched him move with precise efficiency. His hands flew across controls older than any machine she had ever seen, yet they obeyed him perfectly. The AI responded in a calm female voice. Commander authorization confirmed. Activating defense grid standby mode. The floor vibrated softly. Ancient defense systems, still functional, came online. Defense grid? Vera repeated wide-eyed. Not weapons, Elias said. Shields, cloaks, signal dampeners. We were never conquerors. He looked at Lyra and added quietly, but we were never helpless either. Lyra felt a strange mix of fear and admiration. This man, a relic of a lost world, stood calm in a situation that would have terrified any modern being. You really believe humanity can come back? She said softly. Elias met her gaze. Humanity never left. We just waited. Hours passed as they worked together. Lyra translated ancient systems. Vera maintained power flow, and Elias coordinated everything with an old soldier's focus. When the orbital alert finally faded, Elias exhaled slowly. They're gone for now. Vera sighed in relief. That was too close. Lyra looked at him. You saved us, Elias shook his head. No. You saved us by coming here. He looked around the silent chamber filled with sleeping humans. The galaxy buried us in ice and time. But you two? You opened the door. He smiled faintly. Now we step through it. As the lights dimmed to standby mode, Lyra stood beside one of the pods. Inside, a woman slept peacefully, her hands folded on her chest. She looks so calm, Lyra whispered. Elias looked at her. She is. Because she trusted that one day someone would find her. Someone who still believed in humanity. Lyra met his eyes. I think I do now. The commander nodded once, then turned toward the dark corridor. For the first time in almost 1,000,000 years, the deep chambers of the Genesis vault were alive with sound. Machines hummed. Lights pulsed softly through ancient walls. And inside thousands of glass pods, the faint mist of cryo vapor rose like morning fog. Lyra and Vera watched in silence. The sight filled them with awe and fear at the same time. Commander Elias Kane stood near the control console, focused and calm. His eyes reflected the soft blue glow of the awakening sequence. Cryostasis integrity confirmed, the AI voice said. Revival process 22% complete. Lyra swallowed. How many are you waking? Elias didn't look up. 100. That's enough to start rebuilding. 100 humans? Vera whispered, her biolights flickering nervously. That's an army. Elias gave a faint smile. No, that's a crew. Minutes later, the first few pods opened. Humans began to stir, men and women of many colors and shapes, their faces calm but pale from centuries of sleep. Some gasped for air. Others looked around in confusion, their eyes wide as they took their first breath of the new world. Lyra stood frozen, watching history come alive before her eyes. One woman stepped out of her pod, her hair silver and her uniform marked with faded symbols. She looked at Elias and saluted weakly. Commander, she said, her voice raspy. Status report? Elias helped her stand. The Council destroyed Earth. We slept 800,000 years. But we're still here. The woman nodded slowly, her face expressionless. Then the mission continues. Vera's hands trembled. She turned to Lyra and whispered, They wake from death and speak like soldiers. Lyra couldn't answer. There was power in these humans, something steady and unshakable that made her chest tighten. Hours passed as more humans woke. They were weak at first, but their recovery was fast, too fast. Within hours, they moved like trained warriors again, helping others, repairing machines, organizing supplies. Lyra had never seen such coordination. The alien academies of her world prized logic and planning, but this was different. Humans seemed to move with instinct, with shared understanding born from something deeper. Elias walked among them, issuing quiet orders. Check reactor output, restore comm relay, seal the northern wing. Every command was obeyed without hesitation. One human technician, a tall man named Jonah, approached Lyra. His voice was curious but calm. You're not Council? Lyra shook her head. No, we're explorers. We found this place by accident. Jonah studied her for a moment, then smiled faintly. Then maybe the universe hasn't forgotten kindness. He handed her a small metal disc. Translator patch. It'll help you understand our systems better. Lyra stared at the device in her hand. Even though it was ancient, its technology was more advanced than most things she'd seen in her lifetime. How did your people build all this? She asked. Jonah chuckled. Because we had no one to build it for us. Meanwhile, Vera wandered near the far wall away from the busy humans. She couldn't stop trembling. Every instinct told her this was wrong, unnatural. These are the monsters from the stories, she whispered to herself. They destroyed worlds, killed millions. But as she watched them helping one another, sharing food and laughter despite their exhaustion, she began to doubt the stories she had been told all her life. Elias noticed her hesitation. He walked over, his tone calm but firm. You fear us. Vera turned away. You shouldn't exist. Maybe not, Elias said. But we do. And that means your council failed. She looked at him then, eyes filled with confusion and anger.
Why do you sound proud of that?
Because we fought for freedom, Elias said. And freedom always returns no matter how deep you bury it. His words hit her harder than any threat. Later, Lyra joined Elias in the command room. The galaxy hologram shimmered before them, updated with her data. The Council rules everything now, she said. Almost every habitable system is under their control. They claim to bring order, but it's more like fear. Every species obeys them or disappears. Elias studied the map quietly. So nothing has changed. He pointed to a sector near the edge of the galactic rim. This area, no markings, Lyra zoomed in. Uncharted. Radiation storms, black holes. No one lives there. Elias nodded. Then that's where we'll rebuild. Lyra blinked. Rebuild? Yes, he said. A new colony. Away from their eyes. Humanity will rise again. Quietly this time. He turned toward her. You and your friend will take a message to your world. Tell them you found nothing here. Tell them Earth is still dead. Lyra hesitated. You want us to lie? I want you to protect us, he said. Until we can protect ourselves. She looked at him, torn between duty and awe. If they find out? Elias's expression softened. You risked your life to come here. That tells me you're not like the rest of them. Lyra felt her heart tighten. I'll do it. Days passed inside the vault. The humans worked with unstoppable energy. Old systems came alive again. The reactor glowed brighter. The communications array hummed. Lyra and Vera helped as much as they could. They learned quickly, translating, repairing, carrying supplies. The humans treated them not as outsiders but as allies. Vera slowly began to relax. She even smiled once, something Lyra had never seen her do in a dangerous place. But there was still a shadow above them. Every few hours, the sensors scanned the skies. The Galactic Council probe that had detected their landing might return with a fleet. If it did, there would be no escape. Elias prepared for that day. He gathered his people in the central chamber, his voice echoing across the hall. We are the last of Earth, he said. We were meant to rebuild, not to conquer. But if the Council comes again, we will not die in silence. He looked at Lyra and Vera. And we will not let those who helped us die either. The humans responded not with cheers, but with silent nods. They didn't need noise. Their strength was quiet and real. That night, if night could still exist under the ice, Lyra sat alone near the frozen tunnel leading to the surface. The stars outside shone weakly through the glass. She thought of her home, her academy, and all the lessons she had learned about the dangerous humans. Every word of those lessons now felt like a lie. Vera joined her silently, sitting beside her. Do you think they'll survive? She asked softly. Lyra nodded. I think they'll do more than survive. They'll change everything again. Vera sighed. And what will we do when they do? Lyra looked up at the stars. Watch, learn, maybe? Help, Vera smiled faintly. You're becoming one of them. Maybe that's not such a bad thing, Lyra said. The next morning, alarms blared through the vault. Red lights flashed across every wall. Elias appeared instantly, his tone controlled but sharp. Report. A voice came from the communications deck. Orbital contact, multiple signatures. Council scouts entering the atmosphere. Vera gasped. They found us! Lyra's heart pounded. What do we do? Elias looked at his people. Activate the cloak fields. Power down all external emissions. The humans moved like a single machine. Systems shut down in seconds. The glowing halls dimmed. The reactor hum softened. In moments, the vast facility went dark, silent as a grave again. Only the faint pulse of emergency lights remained. The air grew tense. Everyone listened. Then, through the comm system, came a faint signal, unmistakable. A council patrol scanning the planet. This is Galactic Patrol Unit 77. Detected unauthorized activity. Beginning surface scan. The voice crackled with static. Lyra's hands shook. They'll find us. Elias stood still, eyes closed. No, they'll find a dead world. Just as they left it. Minutes passed like hours. Finally, the comm fell silent. Jonah checked the sensors. They're leaving orbit. Vera exhaled in relief. It worked, Elias nodded. For now. He looked at the sleeping pod still unopened. We can't stay here much longer. They'll come again. He turned to Lyra. You said your ship still works? Yes, she said. But the hull was damaged by the ice. We can repair it. Good, Elias said. Then you'll help me transport something. What? Lyra asked. He pointed to the sealed vaults at the far end of the chamber. The archive. They opened the vault together. Inside were thousands of glowing data cores, preserved knowledge of Earth. Art, science, history, music, everything that humanity once was. Lyra's breath caught. It's beautiful, Elias smiled faintly. It's who we were. Before war. Before extinction. He placed one of the cores in her hands. Take this with you. If we fall again, let the galaxy remember truth, not lies. Lyra stared at the core glowing in her palms. I'll protect it, she said. Elias nodded. I know you will. Hours later, Lyra and Vera prepared Whisperlight for launch. The ship's engines rumbled to life for the first time since they'd landed. Humans gathered near the docking bay to watch them off. Vera bowed slightly. We'll mislead the council. They'll never find you again. Elias extended his hand toward her. Thank you. You may have saved the human race. When Lyra shook his hand, she felt the warmth of his skin. Real, alive, strong. Be careful, she said softly. The galaxy isn't ready for you. Elias smiled faintly. Then the galaxy will have to adapt. As the Whisperlight rose through the ice tunnels and broke into the dark sky, Lyra looked down one last time. The surface of Earth was quiet, cold, and dead. But beneath it, life had returned. Vera looked at her. Do you think they'll survive? Lyra smiled. They're human. Survival is what they do best. The ship vanished into the stars, and far below, deep under the frozen crust of a forgotten planet, the humans began to awaken fully, one by one, ready to reclaim the galaxy that had erased them. Days passed inside the vault, and the humans settled into a rhythm. They repaired old machines, activated dormant systems, and learned to trust Lyra and Vera, the two alien girls who had discovered them. The ice and steel corridors were filled with quiet determination, like the heartbeat of a species reborn. But Lyra had questions she could no longer ignore. One evening, she followed Elias into the control room, where ancient star maps glowed on the holoscreens. The lights of distant galaxies shimmered in the projections, and the faint hum of the fusion reactor filled the silence. Commander, Lyra began carefully, I need to understand. Why did the Council destroy Earth? Why were humans erased? Elias's expression darkened. He moved to a side console, his fingers brushing over controls that had not been touched in hundreds of millennia. The holoscreen shifted to show images of Earth before the fall, cities filled with light, forests, oceans, bustling populations. They lied, he said quietly. The Council's story is false. Humanity did not attack them. We did not start the war. They feared us because we refused to obey. Lyra frowned. Refused to obey. Humans were independent. Elias's gaze hardened. Yes, from the beginning. We were explorers, builders, thinkers, warriors, but we never allowed anyone to control our destiny. The Council wanted us to join the Galactic Confederation as one more obedient species. But humanity, we value freedom always. Vera, who had entered silently, whispered, So, the destruction. It was a lie? Elias nodded. A fabrication. They spread false reports of aggression. They said we attacked first, that we threatened other worlds. It was a pretext to justify genocide. Lyra felt her stomach tighten. So everything we were taught in school, all the stories about humans being violent monsters, were wrong? Yes, Elias said. The Council feared what we could become if left free. And when we refused, they destroyed our home. He moved closer to the holoscreen. A new image appeared. A Council fleet, massive and gleaming, firing weapons that turned continents to glass. Lyra gasped at the scale. They had fleets bigger than entire planetary defenses, she whispered. Elias nodded. And yet some humans escaped. That's why Project Genesis was created. To preserve our species, our knowledge, and our culture. To wait for the day we could rise again. Vera shook her head slowly. And the Council never expected that humans could survive under ice for 800,000 years. They didn't, Elias said. They underestimated us. Humanity always adapts, always survives, always learns. The girls felt the weight of history pressing down on them. Lyra's mind raced with possibilities. So, you've been planning this revival for centuries, waiting for the right moment? Yes, Elias said. We did not awaken in haste. We awakened with purpose. Our people will not repeat the mistakes of the past. But we must also be prepared. The Council will return. Vera stepped closer, her biolights flickering nervously. And what will happen when they do? Elias looked out through the thick ice walls at the frozen world above. Then we will show them why humans were never meant to be controlled. Not by fear. Not by force. Not by lies, he turned back to Lyra. You and your people have a role to play. Humanity cannot rise alone. We need allies who understand truth, who have not been corrupted by the Council's propaganda. Lyra hesitated. We can help, but we are only students. We are not soldiers. Then learn, Elias said firmly. Learn what it means to endure. Learn what it means to fight with intelligence, courage, and heart. That is how humans survive. The next days were filled with lessons. The humans trained in the Vault's old simulators, mastering tactics, technology, and strategies long forgotten. Lyra and Vera assisted, translating ancient systems, repairing equipment, and observing the humans' remarkable capabilities. One day, as Lyra was helping a group of technicians restore communication arrays, she noticed something extraordinary. The humans, despite centuries of inactivity, displayed intuition and coordination beyond any machine or algorithm. They adapted instantly to unfamiliar technology, improvised solutions, and solved problems that the girls had struggled with for cycles. Jonah, one of the technicians, smiled as he watched her watch them. You think we're smart, don't you? Lyra nodded. It's more than smart. It's instinctive. You seem to know exactly what to do. Jonah chuckled. Instinct, yes, adaptation and memory. Humans carry history in their bones. Even after 1,000,000 years, we remember who we are. That is power. Vera, watching silently, finally whispered, I think I understand why they feared you. Elias overheard her. Good. Fear is not weakness. It is recognition. But power without purpose is dangerous. Humanity survived not because we could fight. It is because we knew what to fight for. Later, Elias called Lyra and Vera to the central chamber. The walls glowed softly as he activated a holographic map of the galaxy, highlighting systems under Council control. They believed they destroyed us, he said, but Project Genesis was designed to endure. We waited for the right time. Now we wake, and the galaxy must see the truth. He pointed to a sector near the core. This is where the Council spread their lies. Worlds that trusted them are deceived. They teach history as propaganda. We will correct it, Lyra swallowed. And what if they refuse to listen? Elias's eyes darkened. Then we will survive anyway. The Council underestimated us once. They will not do so again. Vera shivered. So your plan is both defense and revelation? Yes, Elias said. We do not seek conquest. We seek survival and justice. But those who oppose us will learn that humans cannot be ignored. As the days continued, Lyra began to understand the full scope of Project Genesis. Each pod, each machine, each archive was not merely preservation, it was a statement. Humanity had anticipated betrayal. Humanity had prepared. Humanity had waited. The humans themselves were living proof of that planning. Every movement, every decision reflected centuries of thought and adaptation. They were not merely survivors. They were a species that had mastered the art of enduring the impossible. Vera, who had once feared them as monsters, began to respect their strength. They are remarkable, she admitted softly. They are human, Lyra said. That is enough. Elias walked past them, inspecting sleeping pods in the far chamber. Some of these humans are scientists, engineers, teachers, artists. They will wake soon. Each one carries knowledge the galaxy thought lost. He paused and looked at Lyra and Vera. Do you understand now? Humanity was never a threat because we wanted power. The Council feared us because we refused to submit. That is why they destroyed Earth. Lies cover it, but truth remains. The girls were quiet, absorbing the weight of history. Lyra finally asked, and now? What happens next? Elias looked at the stars visible through the ice. Now we awaken the rest. Now we reclaim our place, not through violence, but through survival. Through truth. Through endurance, he turned to them. And you will witness it. Vera swallowed. Do you hate the Council? Elias paused. Hate is irrelevant. We survive not for revenge, but because we must. If they fear us, that is their problem, not ours. Humanity does not conquer. Humanity endures. The words hung in the cold air, heavy with truth. That night, as the humans continued their recovery, Lyra sat in the observation chamber with Vera. Through the thick ice, the dim light of distant stars twinkled. They were lied about, Lyra whispered. All those stories. Humans were never the villains. Vera nodded slowly. And now, they will show the galaxy the truth. Lyra's gaze fell on the sleeping pods. Hundreds more humans remained dormant, awaiting their turn to awaken. I think I understand now, she said. Humanity is not just surviving. They are meant to change everything. Elias's voice came over the comm system, calm and commanding. Prepare the awakening sequence. The time for hiding is over. The time for humanity's return begins. Vera's biolights flickered nervously. They will rise again? Yes, Lyra said, almost in awe. And nothing in the galaxy will ever be the same. The next day, the first wave of sleeping humans fully awakened. Scientists, engineers, soldiers, thinkers all moved with precision and purpose. They repaired ancient systems, recalibrated sensors, and studied their environment. Lyra and Vera assisted wherever they could, translating, repairing, observing. And through it all, they realized something incredible. The humans were not just strong, they were alive in a way that radiated hope. Every action, every glance, every quiet decision reflected centuries of planning, knowledge, and endurance. Elias turned to them. The galaxy destroyed us. It thought we were gone. But humanity always returns, and now, we rise. The hum of the reactor pulsed like a heartbeat through the frozen tomb of Earth. Humanity had survived the impossible, and this time they would not wait in silence. The Genesis vault thrummed with life. Hundreds of humans had awakened, moving with coordinated precision through the ice-encased corridors. Lights glowed brighter, machinery hummed stronger, and the air itself seemed charged with energy. Commander Elias Kane stood at the central console, his eyes scanning the holographic map of the galaxy. Systems under Council control were marked in red. Unclaimed or uncharted regions glimmered in blue. He turned to Lyra and Vera, who had worked tirelessly beside him, translating, repairing, and learning the secrets of humanity's lost technology. The time has come, he said. Humanity will no longer hide. We reclaim our place, Lyra swallowed. The Council? They'll attack if they discover you. Elias's gaze was steady. Then they will see what humans are truly capable of. The first step was secrecy. Despite humanity's return, the Council remained unaware. Using the ancient vault's cloaking systems, the humans began to construct an underground fleet, ships built in hidden hangars beneath the ice. Every hull, every engine, every weapon system was carefully calibrated and tested. Vera marveled at the efficiency. You build ships as if you've never forgotten how. Elias smiled faintly. We've never forgotten. Humans are born to adapt, to rebuild, to survive. Even after centuries of silence, we remember. Weeks passed, and the humans awakened more of their species. Each pod released engineers, tacticians, historians, and warriors. The vault became a hub of intelligence, a city beneath the ice, humming with organized energy. Lyra began to understand the full scale of their plan. This was not simply survival, it was preparation. Humanity had waited for the right moment, studying the galaxy, mastering technology, and conserving knowledge. Their strength was subtle, deliberate, and terrifying in its completeness. Vera whispered one evening as she watched a squad of humans simulate maneuvers. They're perfect, Lyra nodded. Not perfect. They're disciplined. They know purpose. That's why they were feared. Elias approached them. We awaken not to conquer. We awaken to remind the galaxy that humanity cannot be erased, that we endure, and that freedom cannot be suppressed. The first mission was bold but necessary. A council outpost on the nearest rim world had reported energy anomalies, signs that the humans were awakening. Elias assigned a small strike team to disable the sensors and erase the evidence, ensuring that the council remained unaware of the vault's location. Lyra and Vera watched the humans board sleek, dark ships designed for speed and stealth. The precision was staggering. No hesitation, no mistakes, just calm, methodical movement. They are not soldiers, Lyra whispered. They are something else. Elias overheard. They are humans. That is enough. The strike team returned successfully, undetected. The council reported nothing. Humanity had won its first silent battle, but it was only the beginning. Elias gathered his people. We have waited 800,000 years. We have survived. Now we step into the galaxy not as fugitives, but as witnesses of truth. A cheer rose from the humans, quiet but filled with unshakable resolve. Every voice carried the weight of history. Every movement reflected centuries of planning, endurance, and purpose. Lyra and Vera worked alongside them, helping to repair systems and translate archives. They discovered humanity's true power, knowledge that the galaxy had thought lost, energy systems beyond council technology, Weapons designed for defense but capable of overwhelming fleets, and strategies rooted in logic and experience. Vera's voice trembled as she watched a human engineer revive an ancient reactor. They could destroy whole systems if they wanted. They won't, Lyra said softly. Not because they cannot, but because they remember the cost of destruction. Humanity does not conquer. Humanity survives, Elias approached, overhearing her. And when we fight, it will be to protect life, not to take it. That is why the Council feared us. That is why they lied. Then came the warning. Sensors detected a Council scout fleet approaching the outer ice belt. Elias called the humans to the command room. They have discovered anomalies in this sector, he said. If they trace it here, everything is at risk. Lyra's heart pounded. What will you do? Elias's eyes gleamed. We show them humanity has returned. But we do it on our terms. The humans prepared their defenses. Cloaking devices masked the vault, automated turrets were calibrated, and the underground fleet was moved into position. Every system was ready, every person trained and aware. Vera whispered, They can't be stopped. Elias smiled faintly. They already have been for 800,000 years. Now they rise. The Council fleet arrived at the rim world, scanning the sector. Sensors flickered as cloaked ships evaded detection. Automated decoys misled the enemy, guiding them away from the vault. Elias watched through the holoscreen. Do not fire unless I give the order. Our time is coming, but it is not yet. Hours passed. The Council searched and failed. Humanity had vanished again, like a shadow beneath the ice. Lyra realized the scale of what they were witnessing. These were survivors who could plan for centuries, endure for millennia, and still act with perfect timing. They are gods, she whispered. Elias overheard. No, humans are not gods. Humans endure. That is all. Weeks later, the humans began to emerge from hiding in the galaxy's uncharted sectors. They contacted scattered colonies, revealed truths hidden for centuries, and rebuilt networks of trade and communication. Each step was deliberate. Each world that joined them became a beacon of truth against the lies of the Council. Humanity did not strike first. They offered knowledge, protection, and proof of survival. Lyra watched from the vault as the first humans returned to space. Ships gleamed with lights carrying scientists, engineers, and soldiers alike. The galaxy, once told humanity was extinct, began to see the truth. Vera's biolights pulsed softly. They are unstoppable. They are human, Lyra said. That is enough. The Council, realizing that humans were no longer extinct, attempted to intervene. Fleets were sent to chase and attack, but they were outmaneuvered. Humans had learned patience, strategy, and the art of survival. Every attack failed. Every fleet was repelled. Elias stood on the bridge of the flagship, looking at the approaching Council vessels. He spoke to Lyra and Vera quietly. They believed they could erase us. They thought 800,000 years would be enough. They were wrong. Vera nodded slowly. They will never forget you now. No, Elias said. And the galaxy will never forget what humans are capable of, when they fight not for conquest but for survival and truth. The humans rebuilt, not as conquerors, but as protectors. Colonies flourished, technology advanced, and knowledge once thought lost returned to the stars. They spread a message of hope, resilience, and truth. Lyra and Vera remained close, witnessing the rebirth of a species the galaxy had tried to erase. They realized that the humans were not merely survivors. They were a force that reminded every civilization of the power of endurance, courage, and intelligence. Elias looked at the stars, finally allowing a faint smile. The Council thought they had won. They thought they had destroyed us. But we were never gone, and we never will be. Lyra whispered to Vera. They are humanity, and the galaxy will never be the same. Vera's biolights pulsed gently. We were lucky to see it. Lyra nodded. No, we were lucky to be part of it. Years passed and the humans reclaimed their place in the galaxy. Systems once lost were rebuilt. Lies of the Council were exposed. Humanity became a symbol, not of war, but of endurance, intelligence, and the refusal to be forgotten. The ice of Earth melted slowly, revealing the ruins of the old world. But the vault remained beneath the surface, a living testament to the species that had survived extinction. Elias Kane stood at the top of the vault's tower, looking at the reborn horizon. This is not the end, he said. It is the beginning. humanity has returned, and we will endure, always. And so, 800,000 years after the Council tried to destroy Earth, humanity rose again, not as a threat, not as conquerors, but as survivors. A species once erased became a beacon. A species once hunted became unstoppable.